Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to a new adventure. Today it is time to jump into Frostpunk. Now, as you guys are probably aware, I recently wrapped up a 120 part long series of me playing all the way from the very beginning of the original StarCraft to the very end of the StarCraft 2 epilogue. Probably one of the very best games, if not the very best game I've ever played. I thoroughly enjoyed my time, and in the very last video, I asked you guys to go ahead and recommend any games that you would like me to cover in the future. And if there was one thing that was very clear, is that you guys wanted me to play a lot more strategy games. I mean, I got recommendations of Age of Empires, Heroes of Might and Magic, Red Alert, Command and Conquer, Company of Heroes, like tons of great suggestions. Some of you, however, recommended something that was not really anything that I really thought of just yet. A lot of you mentioned that I should continue playing titles like, for example, They Are Billions, or for example, Frostpunk. Now, the thing about these last two is that they are very recent. Frostpunk came out a couple of months ago, and I played through the first couple of scenarios on the easier difficulties already, and I have to be honest, I thoroughly enjoyed my experience. I actually uploaded one very long video, have a look at the archives of the YouTube channel, where I covered one of the scenarios in its entirety. However, I think this makes for a great new series, because I won't have to commit to, like, for example, you know, another 100 part long series. I don't know if I'm quite ready for that by, for example, playing, you know, any of the other recommended RTS games. And I have to be honest, I really want to play something that, you know, is just a little bit more modern. I really enjoyed my time in this game, and I think it is time to jump into it. I will try my very best to explain every single step along the way, so feel free to join me. I will also try and recap what went down at the beginning of the next episode, so you don't necessarily have to watch every single minute of this, and hopefully that way I won't have to, you know, label these as like part 1, part 2, part 3, because I personally really dislike that. Anyways, without further ado, it is time to jump into Frostpunk. Already, the music, it's so very good. I am really hyped for this. But anyways, so currently there are 3 different scenarios available, and each of them take anywhere between like 2 to like 10 hours, kind of depending on how fast you play. I'm gonna definitely take my time. I have no intention to rush whatsoever. I enjoy taking my time in these kind of games, but it is time to select the very first one, called A New Home. It's the main story. To preserve civilization from the chaos of its own downfall, we have fled to the end of the world. We will have to adapt to survive. Who will we become in the process? So I'm gonna go ahead and customize the scenario. There are a couple of different difficulty settings. I'm pretty sure I played on either easy or medium on my very first playthrough a couple of months ago. I think what I'm gonna go ahead and do is play on hard. Obviously, if it's too easy, we could set it to extreme, but I feel like I'm gonna make plenty of mistakes as it is. So let's go ahead and select the hard difficulty. The game will be more challenging with very little room for error. Alrighty, so without further ado, it's time to jump into the frozen depths, which is actually quite hilarious, because over here right now in the Netherlands, we're going through a bit of a heat wave here in the middle of summer. It's extremely warm, so if I start sweating profusely, you know what's up. But anyways, let's go ahead and travel north.
We roam the still, cold world. No horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped of pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress. Until the frost stopped it all. Suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow, and with it, our last traces of humanity.
I love this art style so much.
We bid farewell to plenty for those who remained came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We roamed for weeks, maybe months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope that pushed us forward. Slowly, step by step, we knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
You see why I like this? That was so badass. So, just to give you a fair warning, and I'm doing so right now. In order to have my people survive, I am gonna have to make some terrible decisions. Okay? I just want to point out that I think I'm a pretty nice guy, but the thing is, you'll find out soon if you're unfamiliar with the game, why I'm gonna have to make some harsh decisions. Basically, my mindset right now, and I'm gonna try and explain this so you can refer back to this at a later time, okay? Because I'm gonna make some terrible decisions. My mindset is that in the grand scheme of things, we need to survive. Our main goal is to have this civilization survive, and that might mean, for example, that I will have to become basically an emperor. We might have to sacrifice people for the greater good in the process. During my playthrough on Twitch, I found out very quickly that you can become an absolute jerk. You can become, basically we are like the mayor of the city, right? We can go from being an emperor to being a god very quickly. Anyways, a new home. We fled from London and crossed the sea to reach the frozen north. On the way, our convoy was hit by a blizzard and scattered. A handful of us managed to reach the site of this generator, only to find it frozen solid and abandoned. Why is no one here? Did any of our people survive the blizzard? Are there any others out there? Whatever we do, we should expect the worst now that the world as we know it has crumbled. We have to survive. The art style is just beautiful. I love this. It's so beautiful. Alrighty, so here we go. We need to get the generator working. It provides heat and power to other buildings. Without it, we will freeze to death. Stockpile some coal and start the generator. So some minor tutorials are on. I should kind of know what I need to do, but all things considered, this is not gonna be an easy journey. Alrighty, so here is our generator. This is our main source of heat and basically safety of this civilization. So I can go ahead and turn it on. Currently though, I don't have enough coal to go ahead and do so. At the top of the screen, you can see the amount of coal that is available and the amount of resources that are available right here as well. I've got food, I've got food rations over here, and I've got 80 people that are currently doing a whole bunch of nothing. Well, in total, that is gonna be 50 idle workers, 15 idle engineers, and then also 15 children. One of the hard decisions to make in this game is that the children may very well have to do some work as well. I know that's a bad thing to do, but, you know, in dire times, it's very critical that we go ahead and make these kind of decisions. And you can judge me all you want in the comment section of the video. Anyways, let's go ahead and assign 15 guys right here to this coal pile. So what's gonna happen is that they will start moving over towards this coal pile over here, and obviously currently there's not really a whole lot they can do. Julia over here, for example, she's feeling all right, but you know, Clarence is maybe not gonna be as good in just a little bit. So they're gonna make their way over towards this coal pile and harvest that during the day. So we can see the times at which they're gonna be harvesting, and that's gonna be between 8 and 18 o'clock. So between 8 in the morning until 6 in the evening. And you can see work time right over here as well. Now, I can go ahead and pause the game. I probably want to go ahead and do so whenever I'm explaining what's going on. So we have some coal production right here. That's going to be quite nice because we will need it to turn on the generator. So you need 6 coal to turn on this steam level. It gives a +1 temperature in all heat zones, and it gives you 100% coal production. Now I've got my for my American viewers, right? I've got my Celsius on rather than Fahrenheit. I personally don't really understand Fahrenheit very well. I understand the bare basics, but let me just explain to you that -20 degrees Celsius is very cold. Okay, it's not a survivable temperature if you have to, you know, lay down in the snow in the middle of the night. And obviously, you can see right here the progress of time as well. In about 4 days, the temperature will drop significantly by 2 levels, and if I'm not mistaken, 2 levels means 20 degrees. So in 4 days, we will be going down to -40 degrees, and my people will die if I do not get this generator up and running in due time. So there are some workers available. I can go ahead and assign some right here to wood crates as well. I do think that's very helpful. I can do the same thing right here for the steel wreckage. We don't need a lot of steel. Not in the early game anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and assign 5 dudes over there. We'll assign some more right here to coal production as well. So to coal harvesting, and we'll do the same right here for... oh, there's actually a lot of coal nearby. Yeah, we have a lot of coal already. I'm not sure if that's randomized, by the way, or if it's just something that we have right from the get-go. But we'll go ahead and set it up just like that. So that means that everyone is working except for the kids. I want to try and you know, keep the kids from working if I you know, don't need to. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, in like an apocalypse scenario, maybe we're gonna have to assign the kids to some jobs as well, just to make life a little bit more manageable. Alrighty, so currently, my 80 people are homeless. That's not good. Turns out, it is pretty helpful to have some homes close by. Now, the way that this generator works is that it expands heat outwards. So what I need to do is make sure that I put my most important structures as close to this generator as we can. Which means that since I'm gonna have quite a lot of people, I'm probably gonna have to put a lot of tents in like a circle close to the generator. There's also gonna be, for example, a cook's house that we'll need to put down in just a little bit to make this raw food become a you know, actual food ration that people can eat, because they don't really like eating raw food, obviously. We're gonna have to make sure that we get that close to this generator as well. And obviously, the further we go out, the more structures we can produce, and usually also the less we actually need to put these buildings close to the generator. So for example, if I compare the tent right here, it needs base heat level 1. Basically, it needs to be really close to the generator, compared to the hunter's hut that we can have for hunters to go out in the middle of the night to start hunting for food. You know, this one needs to be at a base heating level of 2, so it doesn't need to be as close by. But the cookhouse, where basically food gets produced, or food rations or raw food gets produced into raw food, or into food rations rather, that one needs to be as close to the generator as we can. There's a lot of different structures that we have available already, but what makes this game really interesting is not only the Book of Laws, where I can basically assign different laws to the different people, but also the economy, or where is it? I actually don't know if I have it available just yet. I know there's some research that we can do in just a little bit as well, but maybe it's gonna show up in just a bit. But you'll see what I mean in just a little bit. Anyways, we'll go ahead and have a look right here at the Book of Laws. This is a quite an interesting concept, actually. I haven't really seen this very often in video games at all. Later on, we're gonna have a different kinds of laws that we can use. But for now, we have adaptation. Find ways to battle hunger, sickness, and apathy. Alrighty. So here is our very first group of laws that we can sign. And as you can see, they will expand into different options here as well in just a little bit. For example, I can research emergency shift. Sometimes we have to concentrate on the task at hand at the cost of everything else or die. What this means is that I can go ahead and force my workers in any facility to work for 24 hours. However, if I choose this one, afterwards I can also start going for the extended shift, which allows me to work, I believe, between like 6 AM and then 8 PM. So basically, I get an additional 4 hours out of my resource gathering, systems if I really want to. For now, though, we have a fighting area as well. Nothing relieves tension better than watching a few rounds of an all-out slugfest. I have no intention of doing so. We have food additives. We can add sawdust to meals to make them more filling, although not exactly tasty. We have soup as well. We can cook soup instead of full meals to feed more people with the same amount of raw food. This one is actually pretty interesting. I'm kind of leaning to that. We have radical treatment. We'll try everything to cure the gravely ill, from invasive surgery to amputations. We have sustain life. We can cure, or we can't cure out of the gravely ill, but we can at least keep them alive. We won't risk dangerous amputations with radical treatment. We have the cemetery. I don't think we need one just yet. We have corpse disposal. I mean, we don't have any dead people just yet, right? I think for now, one of my main goals is for my people to, at the very least, have enough food. We can go with food additives, or we can go with soup. I personally don't really like soup. I know I'm just not a big fan of soup, but I guess it might be pretty nice in the middle of the winter in, you know, the northern wastelands. I'm kind of leaning towards the soup for now. So hope will fall slightly, discontent will fall slightly. Eating soup will cause discontent. Some people eating sawdust meal will fall ill. Now, one thing I know is that in this first mission, we're gonna have a lot of people. So I feel like food additive, like, this is not bad. But I think soup is gonna be better, right? It makes a lot more sense. So after introducing this law, another one can be passed after 0 days and 18 hours. Hope will fall slightly, discontent will raise slightly, and eating soup will cause discontent. So they're gonna be a little pissed off. Now I need to obviously be careful that they don't get too pissed off, because then they may very well abolish me. Don't really want to get there. But soup can now be served at the cookhouse. So at the bottom of the screen, you can see the different bars here. So there's discontent, as well as a hope bar. We need to try and get that hope bar all the way full, or at the very least, manage it to be as close to full as possible. And then obviously, we need to make sure that the discontent bar is gonna stay as low as possible, just because that makes life a little bit easier. I do want to make sure that I can build some tents here in just a little bit as well, but in order to do so, I need to make sure that people gather, you know, some wood crates. So if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I've got quite a few people right now assigned to wood crates. Let's go ahead and unpause here and see where everyone is gonna go. So you can see everyone already moving out. Edward says, now we'll know how the poor ate in the workhouses. Anything to calm the crowd or the growling stomach, just like in London. So already, people are not all too happy with me, but then again, I'm not all too surprised. A lot of them have never made it this far north, obviously. As you may have already noticed, by the way, there are some frozen trees over here too. We can use that later on to gather a little bit more efficiently, to need less people. There are some coal deposits, a very similar idea right there. They're basically going to be meant for mining. There is an iron ore deposit that we can use to gather iron, and there's a whole bunch of different things. But for now, everyone is just simply using their bare hands to crawl through the snow and then to gather all of these resources. Okay, so far so good. So the way, by the way, that I'm gonna structure these episodes, I'm gonna record for about an hour or so, and then I'm gonna cut out and edit out all of the boring bits and pieces so you don't have to sit through it. Although I don't really know exactly if there are gonna be any boring pieces, because this game can go from bad to worse in just you know, a blink of an eye. So I have to be pretty careful. We can actually see all the kids right here hanging out as well. So, basic idea about this game is that we need to survive for a very long time. The longer we survive, the better life is going to be. We need to make a self-sustaining society, ideally. Alright. You can move the mouse, or you can move the camera rather with the mouse, while holding down the right mouse button. You can also use the WASD keys, or just move the mouse pointer to the edge of the screen. To zoom out, you can use the mouse wheel. Very straightforward. Resource management is crucial to the city's survival. You need coal to power the generator, wood and steel are necessary for construction and research. Steam cores are a key part of advanced buildings. Raw food is used to prepare food rations in the cookhouse. Later in the game, more food or more types of resources may appear. Most buildings require you to assign people to work there. Certain buildings only employ engineers and others only employ workers. To assign people to work, click on a workplace and use the assignment panel. You can speed up time by clicking the little button and basically make time move faster. Use construction menu at the bottom of the screen to order the construction or dismantling of buildings and streets. Only people who are not currently at work can build structures. Buildings inside the heat zone are warmer and provide better living and working conditions. To make the best use of the heat zones, buildings are placed on a radial grid. All buildings must be connected to the generator by a street in order to function. Very straightforward there. You'll see what that means in just a little bit. Basically, what that means, though, is that everything is going to expand outwards. It's sort of like a radial grid, the further away we go from that generator. So let's go ahead and get started by making some tents. The lowest of research that we have right now. Now, I have to be very careful. One of my main mistakes that I made in my first playthrough, and I'm actually going to pause for just a bit. One of the main mistakes that I made on the easier difficulties, and already then it was an issue. I may very well have to restart this, by the way, several times. But one of the things that I already did quite poorly was not make proper use of the build grid, and I left like a bunch of space in between, which is really bad. If you want to run a big civilization, we're probably gonna have to fill up most of this, like, I guess this zone that we have, and I have to leave as few gaps, in particular close to the generator as I can. So for example, if I build right there, very insufficient or inefficient for obvious reasons, right? Want to really put as many structures down as possible. So if I'm not mistaken, every tent can hold 10 people. Yeah. So I'm gonna need about 8 tents here in the earlier part of this game. Now it does require quite a bit of wood. I'm actually out of wood right now, so should be okay here for the time being. After people come back from work in just a bit, they're gonna start building these things. So basically they're gonna gather until 6 p.m. And then afterwards, I think between like 6 and 8 or so is when they actually construct these tents. So some people may have to sleep on the you know on the cold hard ground here for now. We do need 200 coal. I hope we're gonna be able to get there before 6 p.m. I do think we're gonna be fine there. We're currently at 171. As you can see, by the way, we only have 1 steam core. We're gonna have to make some harsh decisions in the later stages of the game to decide where things are gonna go. But just listen to the music though, and just listen to and just look at how beautiful this game looks. With like the shadows, you know, lengthening the darker it gets. It's beautiful. It's really, really nice. I believe it's Unreal Engine, I think. Very, very good. But I'm actually really excited to be playing more of these games as well, though, because these are relatively small production companies that produce these games, and they're absolutely phenomenal. They're really, really good. I'm a big fan. Alrighty. So we got 215 coal. The work day is up. Let's go ahead and turn on Steam level 1. So what that means is that the generator is gonna work. You can see the snow disappearing from pretty close by. The generator hums with reassuring warmth, but we shouldn't take it for granted. If the generator goes down, the city dies. Be mindful of the coal reserves. And obviously, during nighttime, at the very least if I'm using people and I'm not using an emergency shift, we will not actually have any income on coal. I think what I'm gonna do actually, and this may sound bad, but I think what I'm gonna do, speed up time for just a little bit and then sign another law by the morning. Yeah, so some people are gonna have to sleep outside. So we have one ill person, Sarah. She has no home. I'm sorry, Sarah. Oh, it's a child. Pretty sure, yeah, that's a child. I'm sorry, Sarah. I want to try and see if I can get you guys some place to hang out in just a bit. Now there was a way for me, yeah, to hold the temperature overlay. So you can see everyone close to the generator, right? They're comfortable. Comfortable is too much, guys. If there's one thing that I found out the hard way, comfortable it's nice for the people, but it means that we're kind of wasting coal. Ideally, we want people to be at a livable temperature. I believe the correct term is livable. Anyway, I'm gonna sign another law here in just a little bit, where I can have people work overtime. They're gonna be pissed off, but discontent is pretty low anyway, so we can have that bar go up a little bit. We can use it as a resource. There we go. We can sign another law right now. Soup law has been signed. I think what I'm gonna do is get emergency shift next. We need more wood. It is what it is. Sometimes we have to concentrate on the task at hand at the cost of everything else or die. After introducing this law, we cannot sign another one for 18 hours, and I can force workers in any facility to work for the next 24 hours. Using emergency shift will raise discontent. So So they're gonna be pissed off at me for first signing this law.
New law is signed.
Now you guys are gonna have to go on this emergency shift right here. In the wood crates. Oh, they're pissed off. I'm sorry about that. And then I also want to think... yeah, I think I want to do the same over here. I feel very bad for doing so, but... The discontent bar, it's a resource, okay? As long as it doesn't fill up, we're good. We just want a lot of lumber, okay? We need a lot of wood. Okay. So remember, I want to try and put up, ideally, a medical post as well, as if I can, which also requires, you know, wood once again. So only the people that are gathering wood are gonna work 24-hour shifts. The guys that are working on coal and on steel are not gonna have that problem. So that is gonna be one more over here. And then one right next to it. We're out of lumber, but that's okay. I think I want to use these last spaces over here to...
Get back to work.
Yeah, I want to use these last spaces right over here for a cookhouse. So, yeah, we need more lumber, but the lumber will come up here. We need a lot of it, though. I kind of feel like I need to maybe reassign some more people. There's some more wooden crates over there. So that is gonna be wood over here. There's a steel wreckage. There are... Yeah, I don't know if I need this much coal. We are gathering quite a bit of coal. I think I'm actually gonna assign... like, maybe that many people. So 10 people. Additionally to lumber production there. So one of the options we have, for example, right now, right? And this is one of the controversial subjects. We can sign child labor laws. We don't have enough hands to do all the works. We will allow children to be employed in safe workplaces. Like cookhouses or hothouses. However, after that, we could also get child labor for all jobs. That means that we can even send the kids straight towards the, you know, for example, wood gathering or whatever. There's also child shelters. Children will be safer if they stay in child shelters during the day, and they won't cause any mischief. So here's the thing. This is, I feel like, is gonna be my first controversial decision. And I've already made it. I think in order for this city to thrive, we have to make sure that kids. I wanted to combine the word children and kids at the same pace. But I think like we need to assign kids to, for example, work in like hothouses and places to prepare food, right? This is an emergency situation after all. We need people to survive, and in order to do so, we need to make sure that they're gonna be in a place where they can, you know, carry their own weight, I suppose. I think I wanna, hold up, let me pause for just a sec. I wanna make sure that I can put down all of these, yeah, so I can fit 2 more tents in there for up to 100 people. Already, like for example, I could go ahead and put a cookhouse right over here, but then we have a bit of dead space. I don't think we wanna have that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 cookhouse over here. It needs more heating than that, ideally. But we have different ways of providing heat in just a little bit, so we should be okay. That one is gonna be under construction very, very shortly. And I think I'm gonna sign the law for the kids to work inside of the cookhouse and prepare meals. Is that okay? Am I a bad person for doing so? I mean, the kids right now are just doing nothing, right? Like, for example, they're just standing around. Where are they? Theodore Spring, where are you? You're playing? Okay. Yeah, okay. Maybe that's actually not that bad of a thing. But I want at the very least, you know, initially, maybe once we have enough people working, we may be able to pull off, you know, different bits and pieces. But I think once we have that, we may be able to switch around some of their tasks. But for now, we're probably okay with having the kids work here. Alright, so I also want to put down some hunter huts. Now, hunter huts, once again, I want to put them out at like the 2nd ring. I think what I want to do is create... Hold up, I want to make sure that I do this properly. I want to extend the road 2 more spaces outwards and put a hunter's hut right over there. So what that means is that I can put down an additional layer of tents as close to the generator as possible. Hunter's hut right over there. All right. So that one will have a street here in just a bit. And I can assign more workers over there as well. Another thing that I want to try and get before the day is out is a... Well, we could get a gathering post. Actually, not a bad option at all. We'll look into that in just a bit. But also a cookhouse. Or rather, not a cookhouse. A medical post. Yeah, so that one is 25 food. Or 25 wood. That one also needs quite a bit. Looks like it's actually the exact same size as a tent. Right? Do I see that correctly? Yeah, I think so. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and put down one as close to the heating as I can. Because obviously, you know, ill people don't want to be cold. Believe it or not. Okay. So that is all working out quite nicely. I don't think this is bad at all. Now, another thing that we can get, and I'm actually kind of tempted to go ahead and get one at like the more combined areas, is a gathering post. So people working here gather resources from near a coal pile, wood crates, and steel workshop. So for example, I can put it down right over here, and what will happen is that everything around it will be gathered in a more safe environment. Now that I've got some steel available, I don't think that's a bad option. I'm gonna go ahead and assign right... I'm gonna go ahead and assign one right over here. And I think I want to delete that one later on. So I'm just gonna have it as a temporary measure. There we go. So that will connect the roads here in just a bit, and hopefully that's gonna make life a little bit better.
Day ends. It's off time.
Yeah, I don't mind this. So the workday is ending, not for the guys working the 24-hour shifts, of course. By the way, I'm on the second speed level right here, so we're not playing too slowly. So people are hungry. That's not good. We can assign another law here in just a little bit. At least everyone will have tents now. 0 are starving, but 6 are sick. That's not good. Okay, can you guys maybe finish the medical post? That would be wonderful. This one is 24 hours, so that's great. People from our convoy. With basic resources secured for now, we can try to rescue the people we left behind. Build a beacon, scout the Frostland, and save as many survivors from our expedition as possible. You'll need a workshop to design plans for more advanced buildings. Alrighty, yeah, that's how we get it. Okay, so shortly we're gonna be going into a workshop as well. Could I already make one? Oh, it's under technology, of course. So the workshop will allow me to get a lot more buildings and a lot more advanced, I guess advanced technology out here. So I've got a cookhouse over here. I usually don't need too many cooks. I'm gonna go ahead and put 5 in here for now, and they're gonna make food, or they're gonna make soup. You guys can sit over there, and I think I'm gonna have to put some people in the medical post here just as well, but I assigned 5 people right here into the cookhouse, so what they're gonna do is refine the raw food into food rations that people can actually eat. And then we have the hunter's hut over here where people are gonna work between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. To essentially gather more raw food rations. So what would happen is that they're gonna go outside of this like dome that we are in, or I guess this circle that we are in, and they're gonna go outside into the frozen wastelands and bring us more food. So apparently, by the way, some wood crates have been depleted. Where was that? So these resources, by the way, they will go away, so we have to be careful with where we're spending our time. I guess that explains why all of a sudden we had 15 people available. I'm gonna go ahead and get 10 people out of this thing and put them inside of the gathering post instead. So that's gonna be a bit of a safer environment for them to work in. Also, I need to make sure that I've got a couple of engineers available in just a bit, because we need to assign them to work in the medical post. Alright, so we can assign a new law. Now, I've already explained my reasoning, right? Am I a terrible person for doing this? There aren't enough hands to do all of the work. We will allow the children to be employed in safe workplaces, like cookhouses or hothouses. Both of those options are places where people can essentially just simply, you know, produce food. So, children can work in safe workplaces, hope will fall slightly, and child workers can be injured in accidents. I'm sorry. Desperate times ask for desperate measures, okay?
Law has passed.
But our children aren't used to working. They'll get hurt. We toil all day and now the kids have to work too. So, you know, it is what it is, guys. You know, I'm kind of sorry, but... Okay, so now we can go ahead and sign kids right here in the cookhouse. Only 5 of them are needed for now. Where are my engineers, by the way? They're over here? Okay. I'm actually gonna remove 5 of them over there. Put additional workers in there that just became available. And I'm gonna go ahead and assign 10... or 5 engineers, rather, in the medical post. So people can be, you know, brought back up to full HP here in just a little bit. So, by the way, the Hunter's Hut, it cannot employ engineers. So I've currently... Yeah, I've got 5 engineers chilling. I don't want that. We need these engineers to do something useful. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove 5 of the workers from the steel wreckage. I'm gonna assign 5 additional workers right there in the Hunter's Hut. Alrighty. So the cookhouse, it will start producing in just a little bit. We gotta keep in mind, though, that the temperature will drop here in just a second as well. Not quite what we want, but we should be okay. Alright. So our next assignment right here is to build a workshop, build a beacon, which is a research from the workshop, and then to rescue survivors from the lost expedition. So we can make a laboratory equipped with everything an engineer needs to develop designs for various buildings, technologies, and improvements. So this one requires a little bit of steel and then also a bunch of wood. Now these structures are rather big. Apparently this one, it's not quite as big actually as the Hunter's Hut. But yeah, I still have to make sure that I put them down in an efficient spot. I wonder if I'm actually putting it down super efficiently here already. We can sort of put these things relatively close together, though. Do they require 2 or... Yeah, no, it's 2 as well. So the Hunter's Hut and then also the workshop can kind of go side by side. We will need several of all of these in just a bit. Because basically it speeds up the amount of, you know, time it takes to do a research, and then also the amount of time that it, or I guess the amount of food that we get as an income. But we can put these side by side. Ideally, I'd put them, you know, in a place where it looks a little bit better. Just to you know, just to make things look more aesthetic, you know what I mean? So I guess we may be able to do so here. By calculating the amount of space that it would take to... How many do you reckon I need? Probably up to like 4? So there's 1 over here, 1 over here, 2 over there, 3 over there. So that means that right at that corner is where we can put down... I'm actually just gonna put it down just to make it a little bit easier to measure where this needs to go. But I think right over here is where we're gonna... go ahead and now I'm gonna destroy that thing once again. It's an easy way of measuring where it needs to go. But I'm gonna go ahead and put my my factories, or my workshops rather, right over at that area. So that should create a room right there for 4 additional, or 3 additional, I guess, hunter huts, and then also we have like additional space here for more and more of these. So obviously this research here will be done by engineers, and hopefully we can produce a beacon and get more people into our town. Obviously that means more mouths to feed as well, so it's a bit of a slippery slope, but we should be okay. Okay, so yeah, Joshua is also, he's currently in treatment at the very least. He's being treated, so we got that going for us. All of these are being treated, right? Are they being treated actually? No, they're staying at home. Alright, well, we'll see how that turns out in just a little bit. Okay. So it's 6 a.m. People are already once again drudging through the snow on their way towards the coal deposit. There's a whole bunch of coal piles over here as well, but we should be okay for the time being. Alright. So now that the cookhouse is in session, we should have enough food by the end of the day. So this one is gonna start producing foods here at 8 a.m. So in about an hour and a half from now. People have some free time right now, apparently. That's cool. But that means that dinner should be served here. So at the very least we're gonna have more and more of that. Also, by the time the next night arrives, we will have hunters going out into the world, and they're gonna start gathering food. So we'll have to manage the amount of soup we're making. Ideally, we don't make soup, obviously. Ideally, we have them actually get a standard meal. But it is what it is. Well, we'll have to look into it and see if maybe that's something we can change in just a little bit. Alright, so far so good. Alright, so there's a new tutorial right here for A whole bunch of stuff, actually. I thought it was just gonna be the, oh my god, there's so much! Let's briefly look through it. So, there is temperature right here. The temperature inside of a building depends on the power setting of the generator. If the building is in a heat zone, that building's insulation and the conditions outside. There are 6 temperature levels. Basically, we have to make sure that it doesn't really get, you know, crossed like the center point. We need to keep the homes really warm, so as close to the center of the generator as we can. Illness and healthcare. Cold homes or workplaces cause people to get ill. Without proper care, they can become gravely ill and they might die. The sick can be treated in medical posts, but the gravely ill need an infirmary to be treated. Until you build one, you can save their lives by signing one of 2 laws. We have building abilities. You unlock the new building by signing a law. Building abilities can affect society in many ways. Alright. We have a day-night cycle. That one I think I've already explained quite nicely. We have hope and discontent. When they are not fulfilled, discontent rises, obviously, and each law affects the mood of your society. We have food and hunger. We have the hunter's houses right here that produce 15 raw food per day. We have hot houses, so they produce 30 raw food per day. But if I'm not mistaken, hot houses do consume 1 steam core, and I'm gonna have a very limited amount of those, so I don't know if I want to go there. And then we have the cook houses as well. Food ration, or 2 food ration rather per raw food unit. We have hunters. They work between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. And also workforces right here where you can basically assign a whole bunch of people. Alright, we'll go over research in just a bit once this, well, it's already done, once the workshop is finished. In order to put people in there, though, I need 5 engineers. So, the 5 engineers that I assigned earlier towards this place right here, I'm gonna go ahead and remove them, and we're gonna put them inside of the workshop. Alright, so this is where the game becomes interesting. We have a lot of different options here available. First off, we have an entire technology tree right here dedicated to heating. So eventually I can upgrade the generator to expend more heat, but obviously it's going to use more coal as well. We can make it so that we have more efficient generators. We can do a lot of different things, and we can even get heaters where we can assign heaters to separate buildings. So say for example, I make a building rather far out, you know, or at the very least rather far away there from our generator. We can use a separate heater to make it easier, for example, steam hub to generate more heat. We have exploration and industry. This is also very important, in particular the beacon here. I think that's going to be my first research, just because that makes life way easier if we can get more people and we can start scouting parties and all that. Basically, scouting parties can go around the map, and they can... we by the way only have this area to build in, right? But the scouting parties can go around and they can check out the different places. They can gather resources. They can find more people. They can... you know, improve the population that we have. We have resources over here. There's faster gathering. There's a coal thumper, which is basically a different way of gathering resources. We have a sawmill as well as steelworks. Faster gathering, very interesting. So employing better tools and methods, people gathering resources will work 15% faster. Very interesting, obviously, but it's also, you know, time that we have to dedicate to it, and time effectively is a resource. And we also have the food, health, and shelters tab, where we can have hunters' gear. So thanks to better snowshoes and enhanced camouflage, hunters setting out from the hunter's hut will return with more food. Now, I noticed one thing that I haven't really tried out very much yet, and that's flying hunters. So there's different ways we can... what's this little thing that we see in the background? What is that? Guess I may have to zoom in for a little bit. So there's a couple of different ways we can produce food. One of the things that I use quite a bit in my previous playthroughs is hot houses. I don't know if they're more efficient than flying hunters, but flying hunters does seem like a really cool trait to have. But I do think I want to go for now, though, and just simply complete that quest over here, right? And research the beacon. It's probably the most efficient choice. So this allows us to send scouts to search the wilderness for goods and survivors and bring them to our city. Lookouts will also spot incoming groups of people. Alrighty, so we started that research. People are very hungry, though. That's not great, guys. You will have dinner soon, okay? Food is being made right now. Look at that. The food rations are going up very quickly. I hope I'm assigning people in the right way, right? That's kind of the real question. Do I need more hunters' huts? Maybe. But already, I think I should have enough food here for now. already, I think I'm gonna get quite a bit of food income. We'll have to just simply manage that, and if I'm getting a lot, I can obviously assign actual proper meals rather than soup. And obviously I can also get the hunter's hut right here. Obviously, if we have people eating soup for too long, though, they have a chance of getting ill. And obviously hope will not be particularly high either. But for now, it looks like we're looking pretty good, right? Let's go ahead and speed up the time just a little bit. Okay. So people are at the very least hungry, but they should go to work, or they should be able to eat here in just a little bit, hopefully. Yeah, so you can see the cookhouse, I mean, it currently shows this icon on it. Could not resume production because it requires more raw food. The thing is, I kind of want to make more hunter's huts, but I don't have really a lot of people available. Right? I need more workers in order to do so, and sadly, the only way we can get more workers, my people do not know how to reproduce. For some reason, that's not a thing. In order to get more people, we need that beacon. So the beacon is currently being researched. I think we're actually okay. So there are 3 sick people, but no one's gravely ill. Medical post is functioning. Recovery time is pretty high on pretty much everything, so that's good. But they do have 5 out of 5 patients. We're gonna have to manage that as well. So I'm thinking about maybe putting up another medical post here in just a little bit. We don't necessarily have to put people in there just yet. Here's, by the way, our stockpiles. So you can see how much we're getting. Raw food should go up in just a bit once the people get to work. I guess they are working the graveyard shift. Alrighty. So far, so good. So far, so good. I think we're in a pretty sufficient spot. One is gravely ill. Okay, that's not great. Sadly, we do have one that's gravely ill. He's not going to be treated until we get an infirmary later on. But for now, we may be able to sign another law that will make life a little bit more manageable for that person. There's a few options that we have in order to do so. Ooh, what's this? People from our convoy. Family torn apart. Sir! A woman came forward after we built the workshop. She said that her husband and daughter did not reach the city with the main group, but she's sure that they're still out there. She wants to join the first scouting team we send out. She urges you to hurry. Okay. So she's aiming for that technology tree that we're getting up and running here in just a bit. Calm down, my lady. We're okay. We're okay for now. Okay, so at least for the gathering post for now, we're okay. We're gonna keep on signing these controversial laws. It's not great, but it is what needs to be done. This one should finish up as well, right? So here's an interesting part. You see how this one is gonna finish up in about 2 hours? However, the workday ends in just a little bit. That's not great. You know what? In 18 minutes, and this is a little bit silly, in 18 minutes, we can also sign a law for an extended shift. Hold up. So, as soon as this law ends, we should still be able to get there before it is 6 p.m. Okay, we're pausing the game. What I'm gonna go ahead and do, and this is something that's relatively okay, is get the extended shift. So after signing the graveyard, or like the emergency shift, right? We have the extended shift as well. Building a city in this frozen hell requires sacrifice. People will get more done if they work longer shifts. After introducing this law, you cannot do another one for 18 hours, but I can extend the workday in any facility to 14 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and sign that law, and we're gonna immediately activate it right here in the workshop. So these people are gonna work longer hours, but they're gonna research more. I think that's okay. I could do the same thing right here for the gathering post. Alright, I think that's okay as well. So graveyard, or rather extended shift, is not that big of a deal in comparison. I'm trying to decide here if I should maybe get another gathering post. I don't think it's a bad option. We can sort of hover over things that we can gather. So, for example, putting one over here would allow me to gather both the coal pile as well as the steel wreckage. Eventually, we need to get everything, so just to create more room, right? So it's probably not a bad idea to get a gathering post over here. And since right now it's 8 p.m, people should start gathering here in just a little bit. And I think I want to put down... Can I reach everything? No, sadly I can't reach everything over here. It's a little disappointing, but... Okay, so we're gonna put down a couple of these, and then later on we're gonna deconstruct them once again. We're gonna get some of our resources back, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, it's gonna allow us to. Well, actually, I don't know if I have enough. If I have enough lumber. Yeah, I've only got one wood remaining right now. But this is gonna help us. Hopefully, assign some more people to other tasks, but also to make their you know their gathering a little more efficient and a little more safe. And later on, we'll just remove it. Okay. So I'm gonna need a little bit more wood in order to complete the path towards the gathering post. My father used to tell us we're lucky to work 10 hours a day. I'm sorry, Andrew. 14 hours? People will barely have time to eat and sleep. Sorry about that, guys. But I need to make myself a beacon. So, how's that technology coming along? It's almost done. I do need 20 lumber and 35 steel for that. I do have 35 steel already, which is nice. Don't have enough lumber, though. I'm kind of tempted to even just... Yeah, I'm just going to cancel that. I'm just going to cancel that for now. I kind of need some more. Okay, so beacon is done. Are you guys gathering anything over here? The wood crates? I don't think there's any more gathering over here, but we can go ahead and assign more people. Or at least longer days there as well. It's a sad time, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sure you'd rather live than, you know, complain about extended shifts. Alright, so far I'm actually not all too bothered by this. For the time being, we seem to be safe with heat. However, soon, the temperature will drop. There's a few options that we have. When powered by the generator, these contraptions create additional smaller heat zones around them. Each active steam core consumes a bunch of coal per hour. We could also get heaters. Allows us to use heaters to heat workplaces during working hours. Each heater raises a workplace temperature by 1 level and consumes 1 coal per hour. I'm not entirely sure what the best course of action is right now, to be honest with you. I'm thinking, considering the temperature is soon gonna drop by 20 degrees, that I need to go with heaters. Allows us to use heaters in workplaces, and yeah, I think that's gonna make things a little bit easier. Now, sadly, actually, getting that research for the heater started, it also does cost me some lumber. So I'm not gonna be able to really... I'm not really gonna be able to get my beacon just yet. Soon though, we're gonna get it. Next day, we'll get it. Alright, let's speed through the night. Doesn't that look pretty though? We have ourselves a nice little civilization already though, I can't complain. Okay, so this one is done, wait, I can assign kids already to steel wreckage? Oh, I didn't even realize that. Should I assign the kids right here for the gathering post? Am I a terrible person for doing that? For now, I'm gonna try and not do it. I'm gonna try and you know, I'm gonna try and keep them safe. But for now, we'll use the workers here. So this one is also gonna have extended hours. I'm sorry about that, boys, but desperate times ask for desperate measures. I think I've said that like I've said that like 14 times already. Alright, so people are no longer that hungry. We should be okay. 3 people are being treated, so that's good. One of our people died. Oh no! On day 4 from our arrival, one of our people died. Died from lack of treatment, Molly. I'm sorry, Molly was an engineer as well. It's the highest tier of people. One of our people just died. Sickness, accidents, and deadly cold will keep claiming lives. I actually, well, I mean, I want to sign another law, but I can't just yet. I wonder if... Man, that's not good. I'm gonna go ahead and sign your people over here. I wonder if that's just part of the game, though. You know what? I'm gonna put some of them to work over there, too. Sorry about that, gentlemen, but it is what it is. I wonder if that's just simply part of the game, where it's trying to teach me how to make a cemetery by having people die. Sucks though, as an engineer, right? I don't know if that's maybe one of the default things that just happens. Okay, I'm gonna at least like keep some of them. Okay, no, you're good. There we go. There's another group of engineers working in there. Oh, that's where Molly used to work. Sorry about that, Molly. Okay, so the hunters should come back. Are they already back? Why do I not have enough raw food? Oh, they have been away for 11 hours. They will return very soon. Okay, cool. So it says they're working until 6 a.m., but I guess it takes a couple of hours for them to get back over here as well. We still have 72 food rations, though, so you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and switch from soup to standard meals. We've got enough food as it is. Alright, so here comes the temperature drop. Minus 40 degrees Celsius. Should I look up how much that is in Fahrenheit? Oh hey, I just realized minus 40 degrees Celsius is the same in Fahrenheit. It's the one point where Fahrenheit and Celsius overlap. So minus 40 C is the same as minus 40 F. It's pretty cold. Pretty sure if you stand out in the cold and you forget blinking, your eyelids will probably freeze shut. There's gonna be a couple of people that are like living in Greenland or like Alaska or like Finland or whatever. They're like, oh my god, Loco, minus 40? That's like summer. Okay, not quite that bad. Hey, by the way, look, we got raw food. Yay. That's good, eh? Okay, so you can see right here that the food, or rather the building, is too chilly. There's a moderate risk of people getting ill. I guess the same can then be said right here for all of these structures. At the very least, these houses are still okay, right? At least they seem to be alright for the time being. At least they're relatively comfortable. Anyway, we need to make sure that we stick to our priorities, though. I want to make sure that I can create a beacon. So the beacon is what we need to start looking around, right? So this is 20 wood and 35 steel. Now, this thing, if I'm not mistaken, does not require any heating at all. So I can basically put it as far away as I need. Because, you know, no need to waste any insulation right over here. So I think I'm going to put it at the very outer edge of our... Is that too far? I guess it is just barely too far. There we go. Later on, by the way, you can see this like white square, right? And one over here too. These are like the most advanced structures that we can make to make life a little easier. Can I connect the roads, please? Yeah, I know we're out of wood. I see that. Hey, by the way, why are these people not eating? Why are they still hungry? Oh, they're the ones that they're the ones that actually apparently went on the hunt. All right, fair enough. All right, so another law can be signed right now. I think this is gonna be the last thing that we'll do for today. So I can choose between a cemetery and a corpse disposal. Now, there's a couple of things that we have to take into account. For obvious reasons, corpse disposal is an awful thing. However, it does branch off towards organ transplants. Not entirely sure anymore how that works, but it might be useful. We can also go with the cemetery. We will establish a burial ground so we can lay our dead for rest, or to rest rather, with dignity and respect. Each burial will keep people from work for a few hours. You will have to establish a cemetery. Ceremonial funerals. This is going to be more so to, you know, keep people at least somewhat happy. What do you think is better? Ceremonial funerals or organ transplants? Which do you think we should go ahead and pick up? Let me know down below in the comment section of the video. I actually do not know. What I'll go ahead and do is make that my very first decision in the next video. In part 2. So should we go with the ceremonial funerals or should we go with the organ transplants? Let me know down below in the comment section. Either one of them works, but we have to make the decision if we want to just simply dump a bunch of corpses out in the snow or if we want to go with a cemetery. For now though, look at our nice little civilization. It's not much. One person has died, but we are managing. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you wanted to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and maybe even click the little bell icon so you get notification as soon as the future videos of this series will go live. Also, special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for helping me out directly. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile and I'll see you once again in the next one.